And the other thing that we cover in our Science and Technology Committee is commodities that we need, raw materials. I recently brought forward a piece of legislation in that committee. We passed it through the committee, and it also passed the United States House of Representatives. And it's an interesting subject, but most people in this room may not have even been aware of it, although I'm sure some of you are, and that's rare earth elements. There's 17 rare earth elements that are used in many of our new energy products, for example, hybrid batteries. They're also used in wind turbines. They're used in anything with magnets. They're used in many of our defense products, such as night vision goggles and the sophisticated targeting systems for our defense. Now China, I hate to keep picking on China, but China controls 97% of the global supply today. The United States, we have those elements in our rock, underneath our ground, but we currently produce 0% of the world's supply. So we are almost completely dependent on China. And what China's doing right now is telling our American manufacturers, if you bring your manufacturing over to our country, you'll have all the rare earths that you need. So that means our national defense is dependent on China. Our moving ahead in the energy sectors that we're also interested in, that we know will create jobs in our country, may move to China. Some of them, because they are holding that big old carrot of these rare earths and saying, come over here, you're going to get everything you need if you come here. And if you don't believe this, go back to just about a month ago. China and Japan had an international incident. There's an island that they have a dispute over in terms of the territory. A fishing boat from one country and the Coast Guard from the other country had a collision. And it kind of set off a bit of a problem between the two countries. China cut off their supplies of rare earths to Japan. Japan, as we all know, makes a lot of hybrid cars. Japan is extremely concerned about this issue of rare earths. So what we need to do is to get the production back up in our country, because we do have the elements right here in our country. We have actually a pretty abundant supply, but it's expensive to bring them out of the ground and separate them and get them to the point where they can be used in production. And China, again, is cheating, because we know that they subsidize so many industries, and this is another industry that they subsidize. They make it so that it's unable, our companies are unable to be competitive on that open global market. So what this piece of legislation does is it jumpstarts our domestic supply chain here in our country. It stops China's monopoly, and it retrains workers in this area. And so it's a very important piece of legislation that most people in this country are not even aware as a problem. I'm proud of the legislation that I was able to bring forward out of the committee that passed the House of Representatives. And again, we're going to work on the Senate to get that passed. So these are the ways that I think we need to keep making it in America. And lastly, we need to invest in our working families like yours. I believe we need to extend the middle tax cuts for those making up to $250,000 a year. I think we also need to extend the dividends and capital gains for seniors, those retiring, small businesses, the people who are creating jobs in this country. But what I don't believe we can do, because I simply believe we cannot afford it, is to extend the tax cuts to the wealthiest 3% of Americans. This will cost us $700 billion. $700 billion over 10 years, and for those people who say they do not want to add to the deficit, I don't know how they can say that we want to extend these tax cuts, because how do we pay for that? And we just simply cannot afford that. So in conclusion, we have got to go after China. We have got to close the tax loopholes that are causing so many of our jobs to go overseas. And we've got to make sure that we invest in our domestic manufacturing base. And that's where the manufacturing policy that is so desperately needed in this country comes in. To have a policy so that we have a way forward. Those countries who have a domestic manufacturing policy are seeing great success in that. And our country needs a domestic manufacturing policy going forward. So So I thank you for the work that you continue to do to make all of us aware of how important manufacturing is to our country, certainly how important it is to the people of the 3rd District that I represent. We are a manufacturing region. We like seeing things made. We like that industrial look because we know it's jobs, it's good jobs, it's family-sustaining jobs that are going to keep our region strong and viable for the future. So I look forward to being in Congress to continue to work on all of these issues, and I thank you for all of your support.